Hi there. So my name is Kapil, and I will be demonstrating what essentially is the issue with iCloud here and the lack of two-factor authentication for Find My iPhone. Um, I think it's pretty expected that you wouldn't have two-factor authentication the same form for Find My iPhone because ideally you'd only want to use Find My iPhone if the device that you have, be it your iPhone or so Find My iPhone also works for like iPads and Macs as well. Ideally, you would only use Find My iPhone when you've lost your device, so you wouldn't actually have access to your secondary trusted device, which would have the two-factor authentication code. But having said that, the lack of any protection on the various potentially destructive features of Find My iPhone is what has caused the issue here. At least that's what happened to me. So I have logged into my personal iCloud account. This iCloud account is linked to my iPhone as well as my Mac. So both of those devices should appear in Find My iPhone. And I have received the two-factor authentication code um, on my iOS device, but I'm not going to be keying in that code right now. All right, so I'm going to simulate what actually happens when an adversary gets hold of your password, um, but does not have the two-factor authentication code because theoretically they would not have physical access to your device, which is needed to be able to view that six-digit PIN. Um, and this is the same case both for the new version of two-factor authentication, 2FA, as well as the slightly older 2SV, two-step verification. But basically, they run in this. They have the same problem as well. So we'll go into Find My iPhone here and let this load. All right. So it's going to ask me for my password. So I'm going to key that in right now. Cool. So at this point, I have access to all the devices that I have, my iPhone, my Mac. So I have actually backed up my iPhone just in case because I only have one iOS device that I can demonstrate on. But yeah, okay, so we're gonna select my iPhone and let's try and do some interesting things. So let us say turn on lost mode. All right, and we'll key the number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. This is just a dummy number. Um, and so I will key in say, this is a test of the iCloud security flaw with 2FA. Right. Now I'm going to click done and wait for it to apply the changes. Alright, so it says lost mode pending. And now on my iOS device, which I'll pop a screenshot in, it says the same exact thing. And yeah, so it's actually aware that the device is in lost mode. So I'm going to pop it off lost mode now. Alright, and let's stop loss mode, stop loss mode. Okay, cool. Now let's try something else. Let's try playing the sound. This was how the attack initially took place for me. What actually happened was that the adversary logged in and keyed in my password, got in up to this point, started playing the sound twice. Then the adversary turned on lost mode, and then after that, I took my iOS device, my iPhone, as well as my Mac offline, so they were not able to transmit the erase request. So the erase request remained on the server side before it got transmitted to the device. So that was a good thing. Um, so I'm gonna go play sound, and it's gonna beep really loudly in a moment. Yep, there you go. So I'm just gonna unlock the device, and that turns off the sound. All right. So now that we've established that you can successfully play the sound, you can do lost mode, um, and for the most destructive of them all, the erase iPhone. So with the case of the erase iPhone, I'm going to simulate exactly what the guy did. So I'm going to immediately take my iPhone. I'm going to take my iPhone into airplane mode, so it's offline, because I need this phone. So we're gonna hit erase. Erase this iPhone. All your content and settings will be erased, and erased iPhone cannot be located or tracked. And yes, we will proceed. Okay, so it's gonna ask me for my password one more time. All right, and so I'm gonna key in a number. So this actually, it requests you to key in a number when you want to raise your iPhone as well, just because what happened since iOS 7 and beyond. So iOS 7 came out, I believe, in 2013. So as of iOS 7 and beyond, Apple has introduced this pretty cool feature called activation lock. So in the event should the device be remotely erased through Find My iPhone, or not properly erased, say, because when you normally reset your iPhone on the device, or I believe it's the same case on via iTunes itself, if you do the restore through the normal process, it will ask you to key in your Apple ID password to unlock the phone from your account. But if you do, like, say, an erase through Find My iPhone, and I believe it also is the same thing if you get an iPhone and you put it into the device firmware update mode known as DFU mode, or like the hard restore mode, um, because you're not officially, like, doing the full unlock procedure before it wipes the phone gets locked to your Apple ID. Basically, it means that if you lose the phone, if you erase it, whoever finds it cannot use the phone unless they have your Apple ID and your Apple ID password. So that's always useful. Um, so we will do the erase, and you can even put a message. So this iPhone was erased through Find My iPhone without 2FA. All right, and done. That's it. I've actually put in an erase request, and that's it. So if I turn my iPhone back into turn off airplane mode and put it back onto Wi-Fi and 4G, it immediately would get the request, and that's the end. I lose all the data on the phone. Granted, yes, you can restore the data. Um, when you log in with your iCloud email and password, it's going to allow you to go through the entire process of setting up the phone as per how it would be when you got it from the factory brand new. But the thing is that I think the critical issue here is that, number one, what happens if, let's say, I am out and about? If you're outside the house, what are you going to do? Um, you can't actually do anything. You're pretty much on your own, because you need a Wi-Fi network to be able to restore the device. I think you don't need a Wi-Fi network to activate the device at least, but if you tap setup from a previous iCloud backup, it's going to say I need a Wi-Fi network to be able to restore, and until it fully restores your iOS device, which depends on your internet speed, that's going to take some time. And this is under the assumption that you have an iCloud backup. Um, some people don't, some people have it. It doesn't really work sometimes, and the backups are, delayed. For example, let's say if you're traveling overseas and you do not have Wi-Fi, you've only got, like, say, 4G, potentially possible. Um, and iCloud backups do not take place on 4G. It needs your iPhone to be plugged in, locked, and connected to Wi-Fi. So in that situation, you'd have, like, say, maybe 1 week of data changes that have not been synced to your backup, vacation photos, things like that. You basically instantly lose everything, and you can't use the device until you get back to a Wi-Fi zone. Um, so that's a bit of an issue. Or take for example, you're driving. We know that with iOS 9 you can have CarPlay. Um, you're driving and suddenly your iPhone just goes dead, and you don't have navigation, you don't have music, you don't have anything. Um, then it's going to be a bit of an issue, and it's going to be a more critical issue over time, just because the iOS devices are going to be more integrated to your car. I mean, we know that's going to happen for sure. It's just a matter of time that you see third-party apps coming up on your CarPlay screen, or even potentially, I mean, in the future, you could potentially have your car being powered by your iPhone. And if, let's say, this security flaw still happens, can you imagine, like, you're driving and suddenly, your car goes like, oh, there's no iPhone connected because someone remotely wiped your device, even though you had two-factor authentication. So that's not very convenient. Yeah, and what's interesting here is that I so with two-factor, it actually prompts you on your iOS device, if you'd like to allow this connection, this login, and it tells you, like, the location and things like that. I've got a screenshot of that. So what's interesting is that even if you press don't allow, it still allowed me to go through this entire thing. I mean, like, ideally, um, it should have been like, if it says don't allow, ideally it should, I close the connection on my side and say, oh, sorry, you can't proceed. You've marked as don't allow on your iOS device. And of course, one could argue that what happens if the iOS device gets found by someone and they guess your 4 or 6 digit passcode, or if you have one of those complex passcodes, they guess your complex passcodes and get in, then what happens? Well, again, it's a matter of 2FA, a second form of making sure you are you on your iOS device. So when that prompt comes up and it asks you, like, allow or don't allow, if you press don't allow, it could always ask you, enter your iCloud password to continue. Again, it would require quite a bit of coordination from two people, two adversaries, such that they both know your password. One gets hold of your iPhone, one gets hold of your iCloud account remotely and you know run it in perfect succession. I mean, in perfect order to make sure that you don't get your iPhone back. Um, but yeah, I mean that's one of the other things which I noticed. So in this case, I'm just going to stop the erase request because I need this phone. So I'm just going to stop it, and yes, it's going to ask me for my password again, and I'll just say stop erase, and okay. So right now the phone is offline because I've turned on airplane mode. So I'm going to turn it back off airplane mode. Um, okay, it's reconnecting. It's online, and let's see what happens. So. And let's refresh. And it should tell me, there we go. It's back online. So I've turned off Erase My iPhone because I need the phone. Um, but yeah, so that is basically a demonstration of the iCloud security flaw. Um, Ideally, I propose that some form of second form of authentication. So right now it asks you for your password before you go and erase your device or put your device into you take action on your device. Um, I mean, solving it is actually pretty straightforward. Why not consider reintroducing the security on questions and answers, because with the security questions and answers, all you'd have to do is just ask you a bunch of security questions to make sure you are indeed you. And in this case, ideally the person, I mean, if you have like questions, security questions that are unique and only you would know them, it's not an issue, because if you have the adversary, they would not be able to guess, like, what is your first car, or where did you grow up, which school you went to, unless for some reason you have all of this information in one centralized place. um, or and the best part is that you would know the information, you would know this answer. So let's say, for example, you lost your iPhone, and if you get into Find My iPhone and log in with your password and you attempt to raise it because you know what is your secure answer, because I'm pretty sure you'd still remember which primary school you went to, or which what was your first car, you'd be able to key those answers in, and bam, you'd have access to um, locking or erasing your iPhone or Mac and things like that. So the same thing happens both on the iOS device as well as OS X. It's the same problem. Um, I'm demonstrating with an iOS device because I'm using the OS X device to record. So yeah, and yes, so that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching.